Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video I will show you, without using entity framework, how to implement the CRUD operation in ASP.NET Core with Razor pages. And here we got the new output after deleting the class. Notice the header tags CRUD operation, create, read, update and delete without using entity framework in Razor pages. Below that we have the text box controls to enter the data with a button control. Below that there is a table to display the records from the database. So let's enter the name of the new employee. The employee name is Charan. The email ID is charan@gmail.com and the age is 28 and salary is 1500. Now before insert this record, let's check our database table. I'm executing the table and the table is executed successfully. Right now this table contains zeros. Let's insert the record. Add new employee. And here we got a new output after we insert the new record. It's displaying the records from the database. Let's check in our database table. Execute. So here the Charan employee details is added successfully. That's it. In this part 1 video I have shown how to create and read the data from database without using entity framework in Razor pages. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before writing the coding part in Razor pages, to create the CRUD functionality, first we'll create a new table in SQL Server Management Studio. I'm expanding the root folder as well as the databases, and I want to create a new table in this EMP database. So right click the EMP database, new query. Now let's create a table. Create table, new employee is my table name. Let's enter the columns for this table. EMP ID, integer type, not null, primary key. I'm adding the identity column. Entity. Identity column 1, 1. EMP name and varchar 150. Email and varchar 150. Age, integer type and salary, integer type. Let's create a table, execute. And here we got a message, command completed successfully. Let's expand this EMP database as well as the tables folder. And notice here the new employee table is created successfully. Let's browse this table. Select the new employee database table. Let's browse this table. Right click the table name, select top 1000 rows. And here we got the results of this newly created table, new employee. Right now this table contains 0 rows. Now let's implement the CRUD functionality, create, read, update and delete functionality on this table without using entity framework in Razor pages. For this video tutorial, I'm creating a new ASP.NET Core web application. Go to file, new project, and from the project I'm selecting ASP.NET Core web application. Click next. Let's give the project name CRUD without entity framework Razor pages is my project name, and I want to save this project in the project folder in D drive. Let's create. And the project is created successfully. Let's close this with default window Open Solution Explorer. First, in this project I am adding a new folder called models to create the classes. Right click the project name, add new folder. Let's give the folder name is models. Now in this models folder I am adding a class which contains only the public properties. So right click the models folder, add, let's add a class. Let's give the proper name for the class, which is the EMP class. Click add. And here we got our EMP class. Now in this EMP class I'm just defining the public properties. So before that, let's add a package called using system dot component model dot data inertials. After adding this package, next in this class I'm adding the key attribute key. Then let's add the property prop double tap, which will create the property. The property name is, in our table we have 1 2 3 4 5 columns. So the first column name I'm adding is the EMP ID. Copy that one and paste here. So let's add the second column, prop double tap, which is a string, and the property name is EMP name. The third property is also a string type, which is the email, and fourth property is the integer type is age, and the last one, prop double tap, is the integer type is property name is a salary. Now after adding the class, next step, open Solution Explorer. In the project, notice there is a dependencies folder. Let's expand that one. In this dependencies folder there is no any packages right now. Let's install the new package for this project. Right click the project name, manage nurtured packages, select that one. Switch to browse and search for system.data.sql client. And here we got the results. I require this package. Select that one and click install. Click OK. Let's accept the license, and the package is installed successfully. Open Solution Explorer. Notice here in the dependencies folder we got the packages folder. Let's expand that one. See here the system.data.sql client, the version 4.80. So after adding the package to our project, now let's open the pages folder. In this pages folder you can find the index.cshtml, which is a razor page, the default razor page. Let's open that one. Let's close this error list as well as the output message box. Now what I'm doing, I'm deleting this default, the p tag. Open Solution Explorer, expand the index.cshtml. Now open the code file index.cshtml.cs file. If you notice, this index model page contains some default code which I am commenting. I don't require this private read-only interfaces and the constructor. Now let's add the packages here using system.data.sql, and next package I require the using system.data.sql client, and the last namespace I required to add the EMP class using, my project name is my project name dot models folder. So after adding these three packages, next I'm creating a new method. I'm creating a new public static method, public static list class. In this list class I'm adding my class name emp class. Then let's give the function name is display records. So after that, let's create an object for the list emp class. List emp class list object is equals to new list emp class. After creating the object, then let's give the connection string. Connection is equals to between double quotes. Now between these double quotes I'm adding the data source of my connection string. To get the connection string, open Server Explorer. Notice in the Server Explorer there is a data connections. Right click that one, add connection, and let's add my SQL Server name. After adding SQL Server name, now I'm selecting the database name. The table I have created in this EMP database, so I have selected the database EMP test connection is succeeded. Okay. And here we got the EMP database is added to our data connections. Now we require the data source of this EMP. Right click this emp.dbo, go to properties, and notice in this properties there is a connection string which contains a data source. Just copy that one and paste between these double quotes. And we require here, notice here the small error here, the red mark. To fix that, add one more backward slash and ends with the semicolon. Then using SQL connection, let's create the object for this SQL connection. SQL con is equals to new SQL connection. In this SQL connection I'm adding the object of this string connection. And now let's add the SQL command using SQL command class. SQL com is equals to new SQL command. The SQL command takes two parameters, and in this SQL command I'm adding the command text. Between double quotes I'm adding select start from the table name. Let's get the table name is this new employee. Copy that one and paste here, comma, and the second parameter is a connection object. Our connection object is this SQL con. Copy that one and paste here. Let's add the curly braces. Let's open the connection. SQL con dot open method. Now after open the connection string, now let's add the SQL data reader using SQL data reader. SDR is equals to SQL com dot execute reader method. Now in this SQL reader method I'm using while loop to read the data from the database. While SDR dot read method. Now in this while loop I'm creating an object for my EMP class. So EMP class name EC is equals to new EMP class method. Now let's get the properties from this EMP class. EC dot the property name, first one the image EMP ID is equals to SDR between double quotes The first column name is the EMP ID. So we need to add the exact same column names of the table. Paste here, semicolon. Notice here we got a small error here. The convert type object to int. So here let's convert that. Convert dot to int32. EC dot, the second column name EMP name is equals to SDR dot SDR between double quotes. I'm adding the column name EMP name, semicolon. Let's convert that. Convert dot toString method. EC dot, the next property name is the email is equals to convert dot toString SDR between double quotes. I'm adding the column name of the table email. EC dot, the next property is the age. EC dot age is equals to, the age is the integer type, so I'm converting to int32 SDR between double quotes. I'm adding age, semicolon. EC dot, the last one is a salary is equals to, the salary is also integer type, so I'm adding the converter 2 into 2 and the column name is the salary. Now after that, the last step in this while loop, let's add this object into this list object. List object dot add method. In this add method, it takes the object of this EMP class item, which is this EC. Copy that one and paste, semicolon. And the last one, this method return list object, semicolon. That's it. This is a simple code to display the records from the data. That's it. We have written the code to fetch the records from this new employee table. Now we require here public IEnumerable. In this IEnumerable, I am adding the type of objects to enumerate our class name, EMP class. Now let's add the property of this IEnumerable is get records. Is a property name get set. Now let's call this property in this onGet method. Get records is equals to, I am adding the display records, the function name here, the method name, semicolon. That's it. We have called this display records method in this onGet function. Now switch to the index.cshtml page. I'm changing the heading of this index page. CRUD operation create, read, update and delete. Let's add the class here, display. It's a bootstrap class without using entity framework in ledger pages. After that, I'm adding the horizontal line. Now I'm adding the table. In this table I'm adding class is equals to table, and these class names I'm adding the bootstrap classes tr. Let's add the table headers. The first one is the employee ID. In our table we have 5 columns, so I require the 5 headers. Employee name, th, the next column name is email, age, and the last heading is a salary. After that, to fetch the records from the database, I'm implementing for each loop, and for each variable item in, I'm adding the model dot, and here notice here we got the get records method, and notice here we got the get records property name here. That property name is this enumerable. So dot get records. Now let's add the table row, td table data. In this data at item dot. See here we got the property names. First one is the employee ID, td at item dot, emp name, td at item dot, email, td at item dot, age, and the last column name is at item dot salary. That's it. Now let's add the functionality to create a new record. Again, switch to the index.cshtml page model. Come to the bottom. Let's minimize this one. Now I'm creating a new iActionResult method to post the data. Public iActionResult on post. The function name is sync. Now in this on post async method, I'm adding the class name emp class is the insert. Now let's add the connection strings here. Instead of writing again, I'm just copying this part. Copy that one and paste here. Now let's add the query to insert the record. String insert data is equals to, between double quotes I'm adding insert into, the table name is new employee table. Copy that one and paste here. Values, single quotes, double quotes. Now between these double quotes I'm adding plus plus. Is insert the object of this class dot, I'm adding the property name here. The first one is emp name. The emp id is a auto generate column, so I'm not adding that one. Comma, let's copy this one to create the next value. The next value is the email dot email, the next property name dot age, then is the salary. Let's close with the semicolon. Now Now the next step, let's add the SQL command using SQL command class. SQL command SQL com is equals to new SQL command. In this method I am adding the parameters. The first parameter I am adding the command text, the insert data, comma, and the second parameter is the connection object. The connection object is the SQL com. Now open the connection string, SQL com dot open method, then SQL com dot execute non-query method. Then once the record is inserted successfully, I want to redirect the page of the same index.cshtml. So here I am adding the return redirect to page. In this page I am adding the object, the root values is our index page name. So here I require one more. That's it. We have written the code to insert the new employee details in this onPost async method. Now switch to the index.cshtml, the razor page. In the same page only I am adding the insert functionality also. So after the horizontal line I am adding the form tag. I am closing this form tag after the table. Now in this form tag I am adding the method called post. Now let's add the HTML elements, the text box controls to insert the data. Div tag. Now in this div tag I am adding the class form group. The first column is a name. Input type is equals to, I'm adding the text, and the name property, here the name property, and here the name I'm adding the column name, which is the emp name. Let's add the placeholder also. Enter employee name. The next one is the email, is a label name. Input type is equals to email. Name is equals to, the column name is the email. Placeholder, enter email ID. And the next column name is the age. Input type is equals to text. Name is equals to, I'm adding the age. Placeholder, enter the age. And the last column is a salary. Input type is equals to text. Name is equals to salary, and the placeholder, enter salary. And after adding the text box controls, now we require the button control to submit the data. Input type is equals to submit, and the value of the button name is add new employee. And the class, I'm adding the bootstrap class, is a button button primary. That's it. I have done the complete coding part to display and to insert the records. Now let's check the output. Browse with. I'm selecting the browser Google Chrome, set as default, click browse. And here we got a new output. Let's minimize this size of these headers. So instead of 4, let's delete this class. And this one also. Save this file. I'm reloading the browser. And here we got the new output after deleting the class. Notice the header tags CRUD operation, create, read, update and delete without using entity framework in Razor Pages. Below that we have the text box controls to enter the data with a button control. Below that there is a table to display the records from the database. So let's enter the name of the new employee. The employee name is Charan. The email ID is charan@gmail.com and the age is 28 and salary is 1500. Now before insert this record, let's check our database table. I'm executing the table and the table is executed successfully. Right now this table contains zeros. Let's insert the record. Add new employee. And here we got a new output after we insert the new record. It's displaying the records from the database. Let's check in our database table. Execute. So here the Charan employee details is added successfully. That's it. In this part 1 video I have shown how to create and read the data from database without using entity framework in Razor Pages. Now in part 2 video I will show you how to update and delete the records without using entity framework in Razor Pages.